it's Megan with Hipstitch Academy, and I'm teaching a live stream at the end of this month, and I wanted to pop on here to make a little video to show you how to cut out the pattern and cut out the fabric so you can have everything prepped and ready to go for the live stream when we sew it together. So the project is the Rachael Shirt. It's actually a pattern that Hipstitch Academy created. Rachael, who teaches sewing, she used to teach back at my studio in Hoboken, and she teaches sewing classes online. She developed this pattern for this shirt, and we named it the Rachael Shirt. And it's just such a great, versatile, beginner sewing project. And the thing with this project is the top of the shirt is knit and the bottom is this flowy kind of woven fabric. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to print your pattern from the download that you have purchased or have been provided, and then we're going to walk through how to put the pages of the pattern together so it's like a giant pattern for a piece of clothing, and then how you're going to choose your fabric and then cut it out. Keep watching to see all of that. Alright, here is the Rachael pattern. I find it really handy once I print everything to just stick it in a large envelope like this, and I always tape the first page to the envelope so that I know what I'm doing. Now, when you download the pattern, you're going to get the instructions for cutting it out, for putting it together, photographs, and text. And then you're also going to get, let's see, this one is 29 pages that look like this. When you print it out, make sure that your printer setting is to 100%. Always print the first page of the pattern first, separately, and measure that your test square is 3 inches. That way you'll know the rest of it is the right size. Then you're going to start putting it together. Now, in order to find how to put it together, just turn to, it's actually page 3, it says so in the corner here. You've got a beautiful layout of what this is going to look like. And actually, if you turn it to the side, you'll see it's 5 tiles across and 6 tiles down. There's a space here, and I'll show you when I do it, that you don't have an actual page. So that's how we end up with 29 and not 30. 5 by 6. So let's put this aside, and you're going to find, I always start with pages 1 through 5. So if it's 5 across, I find pages 1 through 5. And grab some scissors that you can use for cutting paper. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will line the 5 pages up, and I'm just going to cut the right side off along the dotted line. Just the right side, okay? Let's move these out of the way as well for now. And let me okay, so 1 through 5, we're going to lay them out. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try to find a large table, but it doesn't have to be humongous. You've got this left over on your left side. So what's going to happen is the right side crosses over onto your next paper, and your pin cushion will line up. Once your dotted lines and your pin cushion are all lined up, you're going to use a piece of tape to tape it together. And here's the way I do it. I will do small pieces of tape right in the middle, not a giant piece, just a little piece to get it to stay together. And then after the whole thing's put together, I'll reinforce with larger pieces of tape. You could use a glue stick. I've tried that. I feel like it doesn't last as long as tape does. So if you have another method of doing this, by all means, please go for it. I prefer Scotch tape, and then when I reinforce, it's usually a clear packing tape that I'll just lay tape, and I'm going to show you that right now. Now we've got the entire row, 1 through 5, taped together. It's a little floppy, but that's fine. Our pin cushions are lined up. Row 1 is done. Grab 6 through 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, cut off the left side. The right side. Cut off the right side. And tape. And you're just going to do this for the following 4 rows. So we've got row 1, row 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in this pile. I'm just going to show you taping all those rows together. Okay, I'm going to grab row 1 from my finished pile, and even if it doesn't fit on the table, don't even worry about it. Take your second one. Now, same deal happens. You've got some extra on the top that you can cut off, or you can take the extra from the bottom. So you just take your scissors and carefully cut off the excess. Don't cut off both, because you need something to overlap. And don't worry about cutting perfect. Just do your best. So now your overlap is on row 2. So lay row 1 on top. And if you can't fit on the width of the table, just move so you can start out. And the same thing happens. You're getting this pin cushion to line up. And do it as you go. You've still got a little wiggle room because you haven't used a lot of tape yet. So get things to line up the best that you can. If they're not lining up perfectly, don't stress about it. You can kind of force things to line up, and then you may have like a little buckle in the paper, but that's okay. I don't want you to like worry about it. I just want you to put it together. So now you've got row 1 and 2. Do the same thing. Row 3, we'll leave the extra. We'll cut off the extra on the bottom of row 2. Discard that. Slide it on top of your 3rd row and start taping where the pin cushions line up. Get each pin cushion lined up. Okay, move it back. So this is where we skip the first spot, and you'll see that the sleeve piece lines up. 22 goes below, goes above 26. 26 goes below 22. And this is left blank. I didn't make a piece of paper here because I just think it's a waste of paper. You just skip the spot. And there's a little note on, I believe, the front page of the instructions to skip that spot. Okay, so now we have 1 through 29 put together, but we want to reinforce it either with, if you've got some clear packing tape, you could use that. I'm just going to use the Scotch tape, like long strips, because it's what I have here. Just so things don't come apart while it's a lot of tape. Yes, I do buy bulk Scotch tape, and not the most expensive brand, because I use so much of it. But there you see, I show you starting from the bottom. You've got the sleeve here, and you're going to cut it out for the size that you are. Moving up here, I'll reinforce with some tape and point out the pieces. We also have, on this bottom, there's a little band piece, and if you don't already have tape on all the intersections, I would do that. I'm just going to roughly cut that off. I'm not cutting the size yet, just cutting the piece. There's that. Cutting the piece for this sleeve cuff. It's just basically tile 21. And there's only 2 different sizes on here, so that's that piece. I haven't cut sizes yet. Cutting off the sleeve. I find cutting the pieces apart is helpful just because it becomes less bulky to deal with. So there's the sleeve. We've got the front top. I'm going to reinforce with some tape here. And maybe one here. Cut that apart. So now I've got all of my pieces ready to go. I'm going to take some measurements, figure out what size I am, and cut all the pieces out. Okay, so I've taken a look at my instructions literally on the first page, the page that I've taped to the envelope. You're just taking a bust measurement, so based on that, you're going to decide what size you are. So I'm going to go ahead with, for me, a size XL. That's the second to the largest size, and that is the red. If you've printed it in color, it's the red dotted line. But again, it's the second to the largest size. So I'm going to cut all of these pieces to that size. So here is my back and my pocket. So on the pocket, cut dotted line for small, medium, and large. That's the red dotted line. For XL and XXL, we're doing the black line, just for this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And I recommend making a pile of just the good pieces so it doesn't wind up in this big mess of scraps. So there's my first piece, the pocket. For the cuff, again, I'm going with a size XL, so it's the black line just for this piece. The neckband, the length is the only thing that changes. I'm going to go with my size, the red dotted line. Okay, I'm going to jump right into cutting my fabric. I've got a navy blue knit, which is stretchy 4 ways, but I'll make sure I show you. I'm going to assume that the greatest stretch is horizontal, and I'll make sure I show you how to do that as indicated on the pattern. And then this is a rayon. This is from Art Gallery Fabrics, beautiful rayon. Super flowy, is going to be great for this shirt. And just to kind of show you, in the shirt, the top is the starchy part, navy blue. The bottom is that real flowy Art Gallery fabric. Let's cut it out. So I'll start with the knit. I've got this fabric right off the bolt. It's got kind of a funky piece cut out of it. So I'm going to put that aside and lay out the knit. Now, when you buy fabric, they're going to cut it off the bolt like that. So the greatest stretch is going to be from selvage to fold. So that's the way you're going to want to place the pattern pieces onto the fabric. So we're making the sleeve from knit, and we need to cut 2. So if the fabric is doubled, I can lay it on here like this, and I will get 2 knit sleeves. Let's see what else we have to cut from knit. So here is the front top. We have to cut this from knit, and it should be on the fold as indicated here. Place on the fold. So I can place that over here on the fold. Now, I'm not gonna keep anything where it is necessarily. I'm just kind of playing around to see how I can best fit things. The back is woven fabric, so I can skip that. The front bottom is woven, so I can skip that for now. And the knit cuff is a cut 2 from knit, so look, it's going to fit really nicely right there. Greatest stretch, left to right, and then cut 1 of this neckband. It's just a cut 1, so here's a little trick. Fold it in half, and you can actually place it on the fold, and you'll get your 1. Okay, so this actually doesn't look terrible. I'm not wasting too much fabric. I think I can move that up. And here's a little trick. You can actually flip this piece. It's still on the fold, but look at how much nicer it fits onto the fabric. It's a much smaller piece of fabric that we are using. And oh my gosh, look at this. I can actually go crazy. And so this is XL. So this is one of the larger sizes, and you can still fit it on a small quantity of knit fabric. So I am, even if I wasn't on the bolt, it was just like a 3-yard piece or whatever, I would still at this point cut here. Sorry, I'm looking for my scissors. Where the heck did I put them? Aha! I don't know, does that happen to you? I imagine. It might. Okay. Cutting. So I'm just going to cut across because I find that to be a little easier to deal with. Get the extra fabric out of the way. Slide everything down so you can see what I'm doing. Now, you can obviously use a rotary cutter if that's what you're comfortable with. I'm probably just going to use scissors in this video because that's what I'm comfortable with. It doesn't all fit on the rotary cutting mat, so I'm going to use some scissors. But before I start, I am going to pin. And you don't have to go nuts pinning, but just enough so that nothing moves around while you cut. So let's see, this front piece, I think I've got like 4 pins. Sleeve, really just like every corner is probably good. Nah, maybe I'll do 5. This doesn't have to be on the fold, so I can move it here because we need 2 of them. It's the cuffs. And this band on the fold, fold it in half so that when I open it up, it will be as long as the band. Little piece of advice, keep everything pinned so we know what it is. Now we can cut the woven fabric. I'm going to set it up exactly the same way. Again, keep it folded the way you get it from the fabric store or the fabric website, where the two selvages are together, okay? And that's how you're going to place it on. We've got the back, which needs to be, so my fold is over on this side now. Placing it on the fold, I don't think I'm going to keep it there because this one needs to be on the fold as well. And I think if I play around with how my fabric is folded, I can get both of these things on the fold. But I know I only need a piece this big, so I'll cut the rest of that off. Now, here's a great trick. When you need two pieces that are both on the fold, you can change the way your fabric is folded. So, open it up, fold one side into the middle, and then reach the other side and fold that side into the middle. And now you have two ways to get this, two sides that can be on the fold. So there's my back piece, which is slightly taller. And here is, I've got just enough. My front piece, which is now not quite. So here's what I'm gonna do. It's not quite wide enough, but I think once I cut this out and I play around with what's left over, I'll be able to get it on. So, pins. And if you can't do this like I'm doing, just use more fabric. I just, when I do these cutting videos, want to show you tricks for using the least amount of fabric, because then we can use our leftovers to make something else. All right. This into the cut pile and see what we have left over. So, keeping the direction of the fabric the same. Now, let's see if I can perform a miracle here. I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm going to wind up using too much of this selvage. If I cut the selvage off, don't cut the bottom piece. And so you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to refold again. I think because this piece kind of widens at the bottom, I might be able to make it work. Let me see. here. So close. So close. Let's see, did that work? Change where the fold is? Yeah, it actually I think did. So this piece underneath is not. Alright, I can't make it work. I'm gonna hold on to this fabric and I'm gonna get more. And sometimes that's the way it is. If you can't fit your piece on there, you just sometimes have to resort to using more fabric. Obviously, the pattern says how much fabric you will need. I just like to play around and see if I can use less than what it says. So instead of placing it right on the fold here and having all this waste, I'm going to cut it across, remove this, go slightly wider, and look, it fits. I can reduce the waste by doing this, changing where the fold is. My piece is on the fold, I can pin and cut. So hopefully that helped you kind of visualize things you can do to save fabric when you're cutting out your pieces. Don't forget to create a scrap bin so you can have all your scraps ready to make something else. And into the done pile. So now I have all of the pieces for my Rachael shirt ready to go. Don't forget, can I get in this shot? Don't forget, hold on. Don't forget, I am teaching this class on Monday, January 17th in a live stream on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Hipstitch Academy. You're probably watching this on my YouTube channel, I'm just realizing. So you know where that is. Anyway, join for the live stream so we can sew this shirt together. See you next time.